Hello everyone. It's uh, such great vibes I can feel, and it's always great to be in a classroom. I am, though by profession I'm a filmmaker, but I'm also a very frustrated teacher. I wish I was a teacher. The reason being that I feel somehow that this world is suffering from a kind of a war which we don't even know about. And I'll stick to this theme of muted voices of the 21st century. Yes, Kashmiri Pandits, definitely it's a muted voice. And why, I'll tell you how voices get muted. When I came here on humanity tour, so in one university, we had an event. Last minute, some students protested and they said it cannot be video recorded. Though they wanted the event to be cancelled, but somehow a lot of people stood their ground. Same day at Oxford Union, they had invited us. That's how this entire tour came about. That was at the center and debating society. But last minute they said, sorry, oops, we made a mistake. We made double booking. Like they always do, it's as if I didn't know about it. Who has faced more than me ever, you know? So I knew that tactic. Now the question arises that why do they want to do it? Why would 21-year-old, 22-year-old, 23-year-old students would want not to listen to another voice, and especially the voice of the persecuted people? I can vouch for it that no parent ever teaches their children to go and shut anybody's voice. Parents generally say that speak, express yourself. That is good parenting. Where do they learn it from? Because the minute they start becoming adults, the moment you start going into colleges and universities, and I'm talking about a very serious thing, you have to please try to understand in the right perspective. When we are all born creative, we are born to explore, we are born to experiment. A child, when you were a child, you would experiment with lots of things and you will learn this is hot, this is cold, go here, don't go there. Before Google, you would go to a city, get lost, find 5 different, 10 different, 100 different ways of going somewhere and realize, okay, these 99 routes are not correct, this is the right route. And that's exactly what life is all about. And that's what makes us different from animals. The thinking, ideologies, all these things come only when you have experimented with lots of things. But of late I have seen, and it's a very, very post-World War phenomenon, that without experimenting, young people have ideologies. You have not experimented with anything. You have not read different disciplines. You have no idea about what happened in Kashmir. But you have decided whether you are with Kashmir or you are not with Kashmir. You have zero idea about why and how Kashmir, without Kashmir, there is no Hindu civilization. But you just ignore it and you say free Kashmir. Kashmir free from what? From the civilization? From a nation? From what? This is the biggest problem. The voices are not muted. Minds have been muted. See, unheard voices, you are in a jungle and you are screaming and nobody can hear you. Your voice is not reaching anywhere. But here voice can reach there, but people, some institutions, some establishments, some organizations, or whatever, the system is trying to mute your voice. They are muting your thoughts. And which is why when people say this world is in conflict, in fact, conflict is a very good thing. Chaos is a very good thing. Out of conflict and chaos, this entire Mother Nature is born. We are also born through a conflict. Biologically, it's a conflicting process. Every good thing comes out of chaos and conflict. But the problem is there is no conflict. There is no exchange of ideas, hence there is no conflict. What we are trying to do is ban, boycott, banish, behead, stop, gag, censor. That's the kind of world we have created. So when you create this kind of world, what happens is that people, and don't go by minority and majority, this is to fool everybody. This definition of minority and majority is to fool everybody. We might be in majority here, right? But if you go outside, and there are thousands of people of different kind, you'll be in minority. In one place, minority can be majority somewhere else. Don't go by this definition of minority and majority. In India, you must have heard that minority. Right, in 9 states, Hindus are in minority. 6 are in majority. In Punjab, somewhere they are in minority. And within a city, you'll find in one area, minority is majority and majority is minority. So don't get fooled by these kind of very binary kind of Western definitions. Majority and minority absolutely depends on who has the financial power. Who is dictating terms? Who's establishing the rules of the game? There are 11 players, only one umpire. He establishes the rules of the game. He's in minority if you go by the job description. Am I right? In a family of 10 young kids and father and uncles and all, one mother can dictate her terms. She's in majority. So it's not about majority and minority. It's about the power. Who has the power? The power balance has been shifting over ages. There was a time, and I'll keep it very short now because I told them I want lots of questions to come in, but I'm just setting up the premise on which we are going to be discussing. So if you see, look at this world as one. Like everybody says, globalization, globalized world, connected. Let's look at the world as one. What was the knowledge center of this world? Knowledge center of the world was Bharat. And this is undisputed fact. Because if you look at history, and not the history which Indians are talking about, look at the history which Westerners are telling the people, look at the movies, look at their popular literature, look at their comic books, look at the Netflix series. And you will find barbarians are killing each other. Barbarians are capturing somebody else's land. They're looting somebody else's resources. It was free for all. Might is right. Whoever has an axe or a sword or a gun can go to anybody's land and capture. How many people came to India from Britain? Do you know that? There are a few hundred people. Only a few hundred people. Because they had guns, we did not have guns. So this world is not about the number game. They are trying to fool you. It's an illusion like magicians create. They have created this illusion about oppression and oppressor and oppressed. Everybody is oppressed in this world. There is nobody who is not oppressed by something else. What I'm talking about is you have to study the shift of the world. So knowledge center, the wisdom center, I would say, was India. And then slowly this barbarian kind of civilizational values that, okay, wherever I go, I'm going to capture them, loot them, and I'm going to rape their women. This culture slowly started spreading in the world. The first thing they did, what were they scared of? They were not scared of guns because they had more guns. They were scared of knowledge. So they started destroying knowledge. The invaders who came to India, what did they destroy first? India had 11 first universities of the world, if you know. Sharda Peeth was in Kashmir. It was destroyed. Nalanda burned for many, many months. It had so many books that it kept burning for, some people say 6 months, some say 3 months. Let's say it's very exaggerated figure. But even if it burned for a few days, it's huge. What did invaders destroy first? Temples. Now the Western historians have presented it, and we also got fooled by it, thinking that they destroyed religious places. No, they were not religious places. They were educational centers. They were wisdom centers. They were spiritual centers. Now, spiritual center, what is a spiritual center? Like you have a lab here. Michael Faraday has a huge lab. Similarly, some rishis have a spiritual lab. And if you cannot create a hierarchy and you say, no, science is superior to spirituality, okay, you can have all the science of the world, and if you don't have answers to life's problems, then even billions of dollars mean nothing to you. So then destroying all the knowledge, dictating your own terms, that's what started happening. And then came all this that, okay, I always say, I've just started thinking about it, and I realized that in this world, and not only India, in lots of other places also, there are open source knowledge systems, open source faith systems, which is, okay, open sources, anybody can contribute. If you don't like this, you change this, refine it. Like in India, if you see in Bharat, okay, if you don't like Brahma, you can have another god. If you don't like Shiva, you can have another god. You can have Ganesha. There can be 10 different ways you can look at Ganesha. If you don't like Ganesha, you can have Buddha. If you don't like Buddha, you can have Guru Nanak. If you don't like Guru Nanak, you can have Mahavir. You can create anything. You can have branches of the same faith system. You can have synthesis, specialization of the same faith system. Within that, you can have hundreds of faith systems. Hindu philosophy has so many schools, and they keep arguing with each other all the time. Till date, they argue with each other. Advait and Dvait, they keep arguing with each other. The yoga, there are so many different ways it can be practiced. If you don't want to believe in any god, don't believe in any god. And if you need any refinement, okay, do it. Okay, Vedas, the first texts, have Upanishads. There are 10 Upanishads. But over a period of time, now there are 100 Upanishads. Somebody wrote the original Mahabharata. Now then we kept adding so many stories in Mahabharata and became hundreds and hundreds of Puranic kathas in Mahabharata. And this entire Shruti, you must have heard that in Indian system, nobody wrote down their great books, you know. They were called Shruti, which means you remember. Why? Think about it. What was the science behind it? They could have written it.
So that it cannot be destroyed.
No, so that it can be improvised. The belief system was, there were two beliefs. Number one, fundamental, knowledge has no copyright. Knowledge is for the entire humanity. West changed it. They said, no, if I discover it first, it's mine. So if I go and discover that mind first, then this is mine. We never believed that. We said it's for the Sarv Kalyan, Jag Kalyan, Lok Kalyan. It's for the entire humanity, number one. Second thing is that every knowledge has a scope to improve with new generations coming in, with new facts and realities as they keep coming in. There should be scope to improvise it, even if it is Gita or it is Ramayana or even if your holy texts. And that's exactly what has happened. That's why you'll see very few people read Gita, but all of you know about the basic message of Gita. Because you've heard it from everywhere. Knowledge is accessible. So this is open source knowledge system, faith system. Then came in last 2000 years, closed source knowledge systems, which said there is some truth which I know. How I know? Where did I get to know? Did I experiment with it? Did I debate with anybody? No. I know it, therefore you must believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, I'm going to kill you. This is close, as if somebody has a trade secret. You know, you have patented something and you said now everybody has to believe in it. And if you want to believe in it, there is a certain process. You have to sign some papers and something, and it's like, then only you can believe in it. So open source systems don't even care whether you sign a paper or not sign a paper, whether you wear a janu, don't wear a janu. It's all up to you. You believe in rituals, you don't believe in rituals, doesn't matter. Now, what is the biggest challenge? And suddenly, these people with swords looted the open source people. They took all their money. They took their resources, enslaved them. Why? Because open source system became a threat. And which is why Today, I believe, this is my personal view, I don't want anybody to endorse it, but with life's experimentations, I have come to realize that if this world humanity has to evolve to next level, if this world actually has to move towards creative consciousness, it is very important that all of us re-establish open source faith systems, where every thought, every idea, every belief, every ritual has the same respect and the same space to survive and flourish. And that's why when I come to the West, I really get very depressed. My soul becomes very sad. Because your minds, they are trying to empower and enslave young people's minds. Why should young people talk in terms of intersectionality, institutionalized racism, left, right? Why? You are young minds. You are such beautiful people. Young people are the most beautiful people because without fear they can say no to anything. But they want you to follow a certain path. And it's happening in educational institutes. It's happening in universities. That's why I always tell people who say, okay, these young kids are getting brainwashed in madrasas to become suicide bombers. But trust me, these glamorized, dignified universities are also brainwashing you like madrasas to make you intellectual suicide bombers. Because you're conflicting without even experimenting with life. So my mantra is explore, experiment, learn, and practice. And that's what creativity is all about. So we have to be creative first. Creativity doesn't mean painting and singing and dancing. Those are crafts. Those are skills. The real creativity is in appreciating every single idea in the world, respecting every idea and giving space to all the ideas. Any place which says my idea is the only idea, I think is anti-humanity.